Hi, welcome to the Project Muse Journals Connection. I'm Elizabeth Brown, better known as Liz, and I am Publisher Relations Manager at Project Muse, where I run the journals program for publisher relations. Every year, I do some kind of journals update for our annual publishers meeting. With our new virtual format, I'm delighted that we can open up and invite researchers and librarians to this meeting, and it's very cool to have this Muse brief available for publishers, researchers, and librarians alike. This brief is still primarily for Muse publishers who need to get an update, but I think there will be something for anyone with an interest in Muse Journals content or content about Muse Journals content. But this Muse brief isn't the only opportunity during Muse Meets to focus on journals content. We have two other live sessions focusing on journals that you won't want to miss. I will be moderating a panel on open access journals and the particular challenges of open access for the nonprofit publisher. And this panel will include an update on our investigation of how a subscribe to open model might work for Project Muse. The other session is a journals networking session for all of us to get together and chat. And I'm looking forward to some interaction. The networking session will incorporate any questions or comments you have about this recorded session and the OA Journals panel, although that one will have a Q&A since it's live. Thus, this networking session should truly connect all of our content on journals content in this meeting. So I think I'll continue to riff on our Connect theme and call that session the Journals Junction. And you get points if you immediately think of Conjunction Junction and start playing that song in your head. And if you don't have that experience, then you'll know that you are not an American who had access to children's TV from the 1970s. And here are the three boxcars representing our journals connection from Muse Meets. One important thing I'd like to point out in this introduction that I wouldn't probably need to if just talking with publishers is that Muse is nonprofit. I think that's well known, but it bears repeating. Unlike some other nonprofits in digital publishing, we only serve nonprofit publishers, and our goal is to help sustain nonprofit publishers. We want to offer reasonably priced content to libraries and then make a sustainable return to publishers who could continue to publish as nonprofit publishers at reasonable prices. So there's a cycle of sustainability that's the central tenet of what we do. I do tell publishers all the time that our library friendly policies are the reason for our success and for their success. Serving libraries is equally important to serving nonprofit publishers in our model. And at the heart of the cycle, the user benefits through our content. So we have two main categories of journal publishers, those from university presses, which tend to manage more than one journal in their portfolios, from 3 to 4 to up to 100 journals. But we have plenty of journals that come to us directly from societies, academic departments, or just independent. In fact, the majority of our journal publishers are independent journals, but the majority of our journals are from university press publishers. When users are engaging with the content on our site, we don't expect them to know or care about business models as long as they can get the content that they want seamlessly. When we bring librarians and publishers into the equation, I think it's important for me to distinguish what programs I'm referring to in this brief. Not every journal's publisher has the same experience in Muse based on what program their journals are in. Librarians need to understand how Muse is growing and know how to purchase or access the content their users need. We're not just one big collection anymore. There are two main programs for journals at Muse: hosted journals, which is basically fee-based hosting, and collection journals, which is a royalty model with waived fees. Hosted journals can be either open access or subscription. All subscription journals, whether they're in the collections or the hosting program, take advantage of the same array of services that we have. I want to mention some older news that is still somewhat new. Last year, I provided an update on our enhancement and relaunching of our journals hosted program. If you go to position 525, here's the link to the YouTube. It's also linked into the Muse 2022 um, Muse Meets webpage. You can hear more about that if you're so inclined, but that's still somewhat new. So apart from this basic sketch I've just given of our journal programs and services, I've got 4 items to cover in this Muse brief. We've got the Great Migration, basically Muse's role in providing a new platform for many nonprofit publishers that were left looking for a new home for their journals by the closing of JSTOR's hosting program. I have an update on individual access. Muse has added an additional way to provide access for individuals, both for subscriptions and members, as well as gratis or paid. Uh, I have an update on journals hosting. Hosted subscription journals are available as single title subscriptions only, or so we've been saying, but that's not really true anymore because we've launched an exciting new product bundling single titles together. A new improved version is coming for 2023, so I'll talk a little about that. And of course, our collections, our original journals business model is still very popular. We believe that we're going to be able to make some modest additions for 2023, so stay tuned. So to our first brief. So every year on the plains of Tanzania and Kenya, a great migration takes place. Well, we had our own migration in Baltimore this year. Ours was one way, point A to point B, as opposed to the continuous nature of the wildebeest migration. But I think ours was a great migration nevertheless. And of course, I'm talking about journals migration. A couple of years ago, JSTOR began informing its journal hosting publishers, the ones that were doing current content on their platform, that their hosting program would close at the end of 2021. This left these publishers in a situation where they had to find a new platform for current journal hosting, which is never an easy undertaking. Even when you want to do it, but to have to suddenly have to do it without any control over that. But it was incredible timing because we at Muse had just undertaken our hosting program relaunch that I referred to earlier. Our program was actually quite similar to JSTOR's, especially with some pricing streamlining we had undertaken. And like JSTOR, Muse offered a considerable list of journals and books that were a great fit with the migrating journals. It was great to be able to point out our core journals in certain fields that would be future companions for incoming journals, whether it was history of medicine or classics. So they were very fun and interesting conversations when I first started talking to the publishers. Our nonprofit message really resonated with many of the publishers that I spoke with. So this slide illustrates the percentage of 2022 migrating journals that were independent journals. So each one represents a different new publisher to orient and get to know. Just want to kind of get that across. There are quite a lot of new relationships to build and many more than we normally do in a year. So anyway, it's a nice looking list. It's substantial, takes up a good amount of the slide, but wait, this is actually what the 2022 migration looked like. The column on the right contains the journals that were already on Muse in our collections program. The publishers of these journals chose to take advantage of this, not having to pay a different platform provider to duplicate the content. And so they migrated their single title, institutional subscribers, and individual and member subscriptions to Muse. Basically, except for Artivate, which is the open access journal, we migrated institutional subscribers for all and individual subscribers for most of these titles. So it wasn't just about producing new files, but the whole migration of the subscribers. But if you really want to get fancy, let's add the journals we brought over in 2021. That's 6 more journals that we did as kind of a preview. And again, journals that were both in MUSE and JSTOR and needed to migrate their JSTOR subscribers over. So this isn't the complete list of new journals on MUSE by any means, just the ones coming from JSTOR. You'll find that each journal brought a substantial amount of content to MUSE. We recommended to publishers that they match the content available on JSTOR. So for journals started in JSTOR's hosting program in, say, 2014, they might have offered content starting with 2009 to subscribers, meaning they had to bring 2009 to 2021 to MUSE. So that was quite a bit of content for each journal. Journals that were not in the JSTOR archives, by the way, brought all of their content. I should make that clear, since those journals were to be removed completely from JSTOR. Only the ones in their existing archives would stay with those back issues. So we welcome all of our new publishers from JSTOR and beyond and their journals. So my next MUSE brief or MUSE news brief centers on individuals. And I think that the yellow smiley is happy because they subscribe to some journals in Project MUSE, just sticking with the theme here. We're happy at MUSE because we have implemented an additional tool for individuals to have access to their favorite journals. We already offer society member access, but we had planned to implement subscriptions for individuals. And it so happened that with the JSTOR migration, many of the journals coming to MUSE already had individual subscribers or society members, but our existing member access wouldn't work for them. So another great timing with what we were already doing with our hosting enhancement. We just implemented this new method and we're offering it to JSTOR publishers since they have the existing subscribers to accommodate. Then we will start rolling this out to other MUSE publishers that are interested in it. And so our number 3 MUSE brief, hosting. So perhaps the most exciting news is the debut of our hosted journal bundle. As we've grown our hosted journals program, we've had the goal of bundling the subscriptions together as one of the sales enhancements we were planning to add. And as it happens, JSTOR had a legacy collection that many of the publishers really liked. And they asked if we might do a similar package on MUSE. There are some libraries that would really appreciate a way to subscribe to all journal content on MUSE, so as not to worry that they're missing anything. And currently, you've got the premium collection and then a bunch of single titles to add to get everything. Although it was getting toward the end of the season last year, we decided to launch our inaugural journal bundle called Premium Plus. Premium is our collection with all of the journals, and this is kind of an add-on. All but a very few of the hosted journals and most of the journals that had been in JSTOR's package and other JSTOR journals that hadn't were included. So we view 2022 as a long runway to the 2023 subscriptions, but we immediately began to get sales. So we're now working on our 2023 offer. The overlap that I found with the premium collection and the JSTOR legacy package kind of shocked me, but it drove home that some libraries still want the convenience of packages. So a collection that contained JSTOR only journals and a bunch of premium journals that they had access to was okay. So basically only hosted journals can be in the MUSE bundle or package. And I think that the Premium Plus package stands on its own as an excellent collection of journals. And if a library has any of our collections, not just premium, I think they should look closely at Premium Plus for 2023. I'll let our MUSE sales team take it from here, but I can definitely vouch for the content side. Okay, now let me conclude with an update on our collections. For the last 2 years, Project MUSE took the extraordinary step of freezing our pricing for the Project MUSE collections, including our premium collection. We were asked by Library Consortia to keep pricing flat because of the tremendous impact that the pandemic has had on library budgets. And of course, we agreed. Keeping our pricing flat it was obviously not good for our publishers, and because of how our business model works, we were not able to add any journals to the collections. We were actually able to accommodate a few new titles because existing titles had ceased publication and left some space. Um, Now we have cautiously budgeted for a modest price increase for 2023 and anticipate adding some new journals, although we haven't determined how many, but we've decided it would be nice to start fresh. So if you are interested in having a journal added to the collections, please use our submission form, which is found on our site and also in this slide. Submitting by April 1st simply ensures that your journal will be considered, since we'll start on this in May, most likely. If you won't be able to submit by then as always, just drop me a line. There's my email address. And let me know that you have a journal that you're planning to submit. Just let me know your plans. For example, if you're negotiating a contract that won't be signed by April 1st, then let me know. Please do not submit an unconfirmed journal using the form. Always into the dialogue. It's always better to just drop me a line, let me know what's going on, and we'll figure out the best solution. So thank you. Publishers, I just want to mention to you specifically the checklists in last year's presentation. Again, there's the YouTube link. And at the 25-minute mark, tools and tips on getting the most out of your participation, they all still apply. I want to remind you to give that a look, see how far you've gotten since you saw that last year. And if you're new, hopefully that'll provide some important information. Otherwise, I will see everyone on April 5th at the live sessions. Let me know if you have any questions in the meantime, of course, ebrown@jhu.edu. Thanks, and see you on April 5th.